Today's After Effects tutorial is wicked simple. We're going to make some classy text slide out from behind invisible objects, so I guess we'll call it the appearing text slide? I don't know. It's dirt simple and devilishly classy. And when you see how simple it is, you'll just poop. How's that for classy? This tutorial is a request from Chimps Eat Bananas, longtime friend of the show, first time requester, so let's slide into After Effects and enjoy that pun. That's so bad. So the first thing to do is make a new composition. Now, usually I say don't worry about the composition size, but generally try to make it the size of whatever footage you're going to be putting this over. If you're not going to be putting it over any footage, then make it whatever size you want. This method has very few moving parts. So all you need is one new solid, because I moved around solids and it'd be kind of a cop-out if I then didn't show you how to do any of that. So you've got a solid, you need some new text, so new text, or use the text tool up here, which is Control T or Command T, and type in shifty text time, because it's time to have shifty text. Now I'm going to use the Align panel to stick it right in the middle of the composition. Now there are two methods to blocking this out. We're either going to use the masking method or the track matte method. Here you can see we don't have any track matte buttons, so let's just toggle switches / modes. So then we have the modes and then the track matte stuff. And we need to put a track matte above this. So I like to use shape layers because they're vector objects. I'm just going to double click on this rectangle up here. I'm just going to block it out with a nice big rectangle. It's the size of my frame. So I'm just going to grab it and squish it down to the size I need. So it just covers up the layer. So that looks good enough, just like that. Now you take your text layer and you take its track matte and you say alpha matte of layer above it, which means take the information of what's above you to say which pixels are on and which pixels are off. So go like that, and now we're back to where we kind of started. Now the big thing that makes this work is the easing of the position coming into and out of the change. I'm just going to hold down Shift and hit page up, go ahead a few frames, and then call up the position here. Let's zoom in on my timeline. And I'm going to set a keyframe for the position, which we want to end up here. I'm going to go back, it's Shift, page down, so I'm going back like 20 frames. And it's not quite a whole second, but it's close. And now I'm just going to nudge, using the arrow keys, this thing out of position. So there you go. When you hit play, the thing comes on. And now we'll just leave it on for about 30 frames. Set a keyframe, move ahead 2, and then instead of nudging, I'll just move it on its way using these properties. Boom. And now it's moved in. So we've got it comes in and comes out. But you haven't quite really mastered the classiness of this effect. So select all of these, and now we're going to keyframe assistant ease them, or hit F9, or do however you like to do that, and then call up the graph editor. And you see we have these two humps here, which kind of look like titties. So I'm sorry that I used that word because I'm like 14, but it's like weirdly spaced out fake boobs, which is kind of weird. So what we're interested in are the handles here. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the way that these things move over time. This graph basically indicates that over time it's accelerating and then decelerating. What we want to do is grab these handles and we're going to push it like this. So now it has, instead of a hump shape, it's got a vertical whoop view, like a mountain. So now it kind of comes on faster, and then we want it to leave slower. So select these handles and pull this one out. So now we've created, instead of two mountains, we've got a sharp mountain and a valley. So easy in and pull out. So that's pretty good. So now we've got classy text coming on. That's pretty great. We also could, if we wanted to, we could use the position of this to take it on and off, so you can just kind of move it like that. So keyframing that using the same kind of thing will bring things on and off. But the other thing that's interesting is applying these same types of movement to the solid as well. So let's just move these ahead. Let's have our solid come on first. So call up its position by hitting P. We're going to set a keyframe, move that ahead to where we want it to be at the end, and then move this down to where we want it to be at the beginning. And then we'll use the same method. Remember, that's first thing to do is easy ease them, or you can even easy ease them from inside the graph editor by hitting this button here, or convert them to really whatever kind of things you want. But we're going to easy ease them, and then we're going to do the same thing where we drag this handle into a mountain. This comes on, and then that comes on. And then one of the things that's going to make this look much better is spacing these things so they kind of coincide with each other. So that can be helpful. Maybe like that. And if you animate them on at the same time, that looks pretty much the best. There we go. Something like this, perhaps. Yeah, there it is. By aligning these motions, you get the best combination of motions. So here, I'll show you a little bit about what I mean there. So we've got one solid that comes on. I'm going to just duplicate that and then move it ahead. And I'm going to change the color of this to be something else. So we're going to go Layer, Solid Settings, change its color. Sure, that's good. Okay, so we've got a new solid there that comes on like so. And as this comes on, one of the things I want it to do is, when it's changing the background to be this teal, I want it to change the text to be red. So how are we going to accomplish that kind of thing? Well, we would need another copy of this text first, so let's just get one of those, duplicate that, and then I'm going to get a duplicate copy of this back layer. So we've got the component parts we want, we've got color that has keyframes associated with it, and then we're going to use the alpha of that to make some red text. And so that's coming on, and then we want to line it up so that it's changing at a similar time. Maybe not at exactly the same time, but kind of like that. All right, there we go. So now we've got some text that's becoming red. One of the things we want to do, though, is it's got all this motion here and all this motion above here that is totally useless to what we're doing. So let me just bump that up, and you can see it's really moving because it's got this outline here. And then we want it to start just below the text and then finish just above the text. Just like that. So, boom, kind of like this comes on. So that's kind of doing it for me. And now we're just going to double check our keyframes here. These ones are the ones we're interested in, and just make sure that they're doing, yeah, those are in the right shape. And there we go. Things do get a little bit weird when things start shifting away or moving and that kind of thing, but you know, you can figure that stuff out for yourself. But one of the things I'm going to warn you about is there are often problems when alpha channels overlap with other layers that are already there. To get around this type of problem, what you can do is you can either take the top layer and make sure that you expand it by using this simple little line over here where you can change the stroke to be a little bit larger, but that's going to cause slightly larger letters to come on when you do that. So that might not be totally interesting for you, but that's just a way to work around it. But what we're going to do next is examine that second method, because this is pretty great for putting on whole lines of text, but it's not so good for putting on just one word at a time using a text animator. So I'm just going to make a new comp again, and then we'll reuse some of those solids, and then we'll put on some text, and that text will be one at a time, like that, and then stick that in the center. And we want this to come on one word at a time. So I've covered text animating in a separate tutorial. So you just animate a position and then set its starting position to be wherever you'd like that to be. I'm going to use a ruler here so I can determine where the bottom of that is at. Just so, you know, good for reference. And I'll determine where the top is at too. So now when I change the position, I know I'm putting it beyond that thing. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the animator, go to the range selector, and the thing that we're animating is going to be the start and end positions of the range selector. Go into advanced, change based on characters to based on words, change units to be based on index, and then we're going to start here, go forward a bunch of frames, and then end at maximum. So what does that look like when it animates? Things are coming on one at a time. Great. And now we want that same kind of easing mountain motion, so put the ease low up to 100. one at a time. Good. And like we said, the way to make this come on is to use a mask. So go up here to the rectangle, make sure you have this layer selected, and then just draw a rectangle around the part that you want to be visible. And now things come on one at a time. Boom. And then you animate them off similarly using the range selector and pushing stuff out. So if I want them to then push up and out, then I would animate the position, creating a second animator. And now the position that I want is going to be vertical like this. Now the animator, basically the range I want is going to be pretty much exactly the same, but it's going to happen after. So just make sure you're copying and pasting. Boop, boop, boop. So that's not quite what I wanted. I want the advanced here to be add, subtract, and then one at a time, one at a time. No, that's not quite it. Hold on, based on words. One at a time. Good. Maybe ease low 100. One at a time. So there you go. So it's coming on, and then it's going off. And that's pretty much it. The same thing still applies with the pushing things on and off in this capacity, animating things. You know, this is actually a really ugly color combination. So here's a pro tip. If you want better color combinations, use Cooler with a K from Adobe, or go to colorlovers.com. But I'm Evan Abrams. This is how to make sliding classy text either one letter at a time or one line at a time, and how to change between colors. If you want to get into doing things that make it look way more interesting, though, there's no like trick to it. This isn't one of those things where, ooh, there's such a crazy trick. It's really just having solid fundamentals and combining those fundamentals in interesting ways. So I know it looks complicated when you see it and people are combining moving solids with moving text with then moving alpha channels. But really, it's not that hard. Like, you just have to get in there, break it down into elements, and then recombine those elements in different interesting ways. This is one of those things where a lot of experimentation will help you out, and just a lot of experience. And thankfully, this didn't take a lot of your day, so you've got the rest of your time to go do other things, like try to make this awesome for you. I'm Evan Abrams. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Comment, rate, subscribe. This channel is going to have new stuff every week. I hope you liked it. If not, let me know in the comments. If you liked it, let me know in the comments. If you have questions about this technique or this method, just ask away. I try to answer everything in the comments that comes up. And like I said, I'm Evan Abrams. Thanks for watching my channel, and I'll see you around the internet.